With the government shutdown now entering its 24th day, a new poll shows more Americans blame the president and his party for this historic standoff.
Stop the shutdown now!
Nancy and Chuck know that. Look, they're not winning this argument. They're losing the argument badly. They know it. You know what? We need border security. That's what we're going to be talking about, border security. If we don't have border security, we'll shut down the government.
One of the reasons this government shutdown was a little bit different is because in the past, most shutdowns have occurred because of what we call the national debt or the national deficit. The president is saying the budget Congress passed is too large. It's just going to keep increasing our debt, and we have to have a smaller budget. We have to cut money from certain programs. In this shutdown, that was not part of the discussion. It was strictly over a policy issue. Do we want to fund a border wall or do we not want to fund a border wall? Very seldom does that lead to a shutdown. That usually, people in Congress and the president can usually find some grounds of compromise so that we can avoid a shutdown.
I think people learn that shutting down always hurts the person who shut down. And clearly Trump is the one being held responsible for this shutdown. Clearly, because the fundamental duty of the Congress is to appropriate money, and he's overridden that.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle.
My opinions of the government shutdown are that it was unnecessary, harmful, and frankly quite shameful. We had federal employees across the Commonwealth of Virginia who were working, going to work every single day in public service and not getting paid. We had additional federal employees across the Commonwealth and across the country who were furloughed and not going to work. It's not like their job stops existing, there's just work that's piling up and not getting done. And so there were a lot of bills put forth in Congress to try and make sure that we never come to this point again where essentially we are using a government shutdown as a negotiating tool. I think that's never ever appropriate.
No shutdowns are good. I think they're ridiculous, but coming in after the fact, I thought it was the proper thing to do to try to get the best deal for the American people and for those on the border. But I think in the future, we need to look at shutdowns as something that's much more of a negative than a positive and how it affected even people in my district. So did it get to where we're going? I think in hindsight, we can say there was a real point to the argument on why we needed border security based on what's happening now. But I would hope in the future that we have no more shutdowns and we can come to some type of bipartisan agreement on what we need to do going forward.
And what I think I'm most concerned about with this president is his penchant to divide us, to attack people because they're immigrants, to attack people because of their religion, to attack minorities, to use vulgar language to describe countries where people come who might be Latino or African. There is a concerted effort that he has been engaged in to divide people, including dividing them based on race.
The president needs to stop playing games and put people back to work. I don't know of any other company or any other agency or any other place where you require people to work and not pay them. Yeah. And surely the federal government should not be one of them.
Everything is gone. Everything's taken away. The shutdown has cost me everything.
Well, what about the 800,000 people? Do you even care? Do you have a heart?
I am very proud to announce today that we have reached a deal to end the shutdown and reopen the federal government.
My dad, he found out at work, he works on Navy Hill, and they were like, listen, we're probably going to be shut down, but he's essential, so he was working through the shutdown. And my mom, toward the end, was working, but she works for food safety, so the meat inspectors, their job never stops. They were still inspecting, even though the government was shut down, they just weren't getting paid for it. This time, neither one of my parents were getting paid, so I was definitely, toward the end, a little more scared than I normally would be. My brother works a lot at home. He's a junior in high school, and I actually had him cover my first round of payments for spring break because he had the money. And I like going to my little brother who's 16. I was like, not the thing I wanted to do until I got paid because I picked up a job here at school because I just felt, didn't feel right like going to my parents asking them for money for everything when they didn't have a job. I'm not scared that another one will happen. It's more of like, when is it gonna happen at this point?
Look at how divisive our politicians are, and then the American people need to realize how much power they have, and they need to become more aware of the policies that are going on, need to understand the way the political process works, and they need to be involved. If people continue to just give the responsibility to our politicians and continue to ignore what goes on, yeah, it could be bad. I don't think we should be worried, but I do think it should be a wake-up call.